Hello everybody and welcome back to The Red Eagle. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and like the video down below. We just hit 25,000 subscribers and I would like to thank all of you for helping me achieve this great milestone in just under a year. And today we're going to be talking about the topic of immigration. The left has been consistently pushing the idea of mass immigration and open borders for quite some time now, and many on the right, including President Trump, have been supporting high levels of legal immigration as well. The left has created a political environment where too many people are afraid to discuss the impacts of illegal and legal immigration, and the antics of some of the fringe so-called right have been used by the left to shut down this discussion. The question is immigration necessarily a good thing? Does it help the country? Does it hurt the country? Or both? Should we limit immigration levels or should we keep them at the current level? I'm going to explain the impact of immigration in terms of effects on wages, demographic patterns, and crime in order to fully assess the situation. It has been no secret that wages in this country for the working class and lower class have been stagnant for years. This is something that the left and the right highlight when discussing struggling people living in America. Both Keynesian and supply-side economics have failed to generate the desired growth for struggling Americans. The question is, could immigration be to blame for the stagnation of lower-income wages? Standard logic and theory would say yes. More low-skilled workers coming to America would lead to more competition for lower-wage jobs. There is a lack of a need for manufacturing jobs nowadays, unlike what happened during the Industrial Revolution, where we actually needed immigrants to fill our factories. This is not the case nowadays, especially as lower-wage jobs are being outsourced due to globalist trade policies and removed due to automation. This higher competition for lower-wage jobs then decreases the wages for them in order to employ more people. This claim has been backed up by most studies. In 2016, the National Academies of Science published a 495-page analysis of immigration's effect on the economy. According to 22 studies, 18 indicated that immigration has reduced the wages of workers compared to just 4 that showed no effect or the opposite. According to the average of all the studies, the average result was a 0.5% drop in wages for every 1% increase of the immigrant population. These numbers showed a much larger negative effect for high school graduates and dropouts than those with college degrees. Also, the workers most negatively affected by immigration were poor, Black, and Latino citizens living in urban areas. Immigrants are 60% more likely to be employed in low-skilled occupations than native-born workers. Therefore, like native-born minorities, a larger percentage of immigrant workers are negatively affected by competition with their fellow immigrants. There's a reason why Cesar Chavez, legendary workers' rights icon, was opposed to immigration. People on the new left have abandoned their principle and reason on many issues in exchange for power, which is something we will get to later in the video. Immigration, however, does increase the wages of the elites at the top of society who are able to profit off of paying workers lower wages. This net increase of total wealth for the rich offsets the wage growth as a whole and can mask the true effects of wage growth for lower wages. It also allows the rich to get richer and the poor to stay poor. Immigrants don't just drain wages, they are also a tax burden. According to the Center of Immigration Studies, 63% of non-citizen households access welfare programs costing us billions. Some states like California coddle illegal aliens with exclusive benefits. This means we take people into this country who leech off of our government, many of whom do not even work. This is a problem and it is antithetical to our American values. Aside from the economy, the second problem with immigration is rapid demographic change. And keep in mind when I say this, I'm not solely talking about race or ethnicity. I don't believe any American should care what color their neighbors are, and we need to treat everyone with the equal respect they deserve no matter what. The problem is that people are coming from different cultures and not assimilating to our culture fast enough. This can evidently be seen in our voting patterns. It is no surprise that immigrants vote nearly 70-30 for Democrats, and it has always been this way. It does not matter where they come from, whether they're European immigrants, Asian immigrants, or Central American immigrants. This seems to ring true no matter what. Yes, you do have a few exceptions like Cuban immigrants, Vietnamese immigrants, etc., but this does not indicate ethnicity as a sole determinant of vote choice. However, as voting patterns may be able to stabilize over 4 to 5 generations with assimilation. For example, Trump lost first-generation Hispanics that only speak Spanish to Hillary by 70 points, but Trump narrowly beat her among fourth-generation Hispanics that only speak English. It took lower-class Irish and Italian immigrants that came here at the turn of the 20th century about half of a dozen decades to come around to the Republican Party as well. I reject the notion that it is solely immigration that turned Texas, and especially Virginia, blue, because the math isn't all there to say that it is the full mechanism that has made those states much closer than they were in 2004. The problem is that pumping our border with immigrants legally and illegally is unsustainable for future generations, and conservatives must not allow this routine garbage to happen so that the left can use government benefits to trap these people in a never-ending cycle of poverty for a power grab in order to get more votes while they shift the Overton window to the left and erode our freedoms. Democrats' stronghold on immigrant voters is part of their globalist indoctrination agenda, which has been exposed in UN papers. Polls typically show that new immigrants oppose the Second Amendment, and most of them come from countries that ban guns altogether, even though a lot of these countries do have higher murder rates, ironically. The left is bragging about how immigration will stop the NRA and help the left push their agenda, per a recent article in Washington Post for reference. Voter fraud is also a problem, mainly among illegal immigrants. A study from Science Direct, which left-wing media bias fact-check rated as 100% pro-science and unbiased, showed that illegal votes may have changed the 2008 Electoral College and House District results. A poll from one source showed 13% of illegal aliens admit to voting. With 11 to 22 million illegals, that means a minimum of 1 million illegal votes were cast. There is a reason why Democrats oppose voter ID, with most studies debunking their suppression narrative myth, and shutting down the border is a key way to stop their influx of voters. Racial tensions may inflame due to mass immigration as well, and it's not something I'm happy about. Back in the 2000s, whites were over 70% of the population, and the leftist globalists did not focus as much of their energy on destroying our culture by pushing their anti-white agenda to divide the people so they could gain power. This has changed, and whites are now 60% of the population and declining, and expected to be a minority in the near future. Many of our communities do not look like the ones we grew up in, as immigrants who have not assimilated have changed these places for the worse beyond repair for the foreseeable future. Calling out this change that nobody voted for should not be considered out of line, as many of the people moving here do not share the same values as current Americans. This is causing racial and political tension, and the race war agenda is being pushed, causing extremism on both the far left and so-called right to rise, which is incredibly threatening to the security of our nation. The third problem with immigration is crime. Now, crime in general has not increased that much due to immigration, and crime's actually gone down since the 1990s despite getting more immigrants. Still, many problems do come from our southern border, mainly the opioid epidemic. 90% of heroin comes from the southern border, whether the port of entry is legal or not, and plenty of fentanyl comes over from China. This epidemic has destroyed middle America and has costed Americans countless lives, and the cartels are to blame. Build a wall and watch our opioid deaths and illegal border crossings drop overnight. There is also a misconception that illegal immigrants commit less crimes than American citizens. While this is technically true when numbers are crunched, at least in Texas, most victims of illegal alien crime are other illegals. Therefore, it is not inexplicable to say that those illegals do not want to report crimes in fear of being deported themselves. Also, minority crimes have statistically been more likely to go unreported, so that also could explain the factors. So, America, the future's looking bleak when it comes to this, right? Well, this does not necessarily have to be the case. I'm so sick and tired of people talking about problems and not talking about solutions. This is a plea to solve the problem. We had a similar situation happening during the first half of the 20th century, and we had a moratorium on immigration, where we'd lower net migration to zero at a maximum. 200,000 people leave America every year, so replacing those people with immigrants would be okay. We did this for the first half of last century, the golden age of America, and it worked fine. Then, when immigrants fully assimilate, we can reopen our borders again. This should solve the problem. Candidates for Congress, such as Pete Nebraska, who unfortunately was forced to drop out, and Jerome Bell, both minorities by the way, are advocating for this because they know it will save America. Building the wall and also building technology to place on the border should deter illegal immigration. Restricting birthright citizenship, contrary to the popular belief, it is not unconstitutional, also will deter illegal migrations, which will limit the number of migrant children separated from their parents. This is something the left should support from a principled humanitarian perspective if they actually cared about children, but hey, anything for the votes. As for racial tensions, assimilation should take care of the rest. 1/4 of Hispanics marry whites, which will be a good thing moving forward in order to fully assimilate new immigrants, and conservative white birth rates are far above replacement level, unlike liberal white birth rates, so it is not like conservative ideology is dying out anytime soon. It should all be noted that I'm not coming from an anti-immigrant perspective when I'm saying this. We are all Americans at the end of the day, and no matter what color you are, if you want to uphold our traditional conservative American values, you should be welcome with open arms. My grandmother immigrated to America from Iran during the moratorium and quickly assimilated and has voted Republican in nearly every election since Dewey. I wish future immigrants will follow suit, and a moratorium should help us vet our immigrants better in that regard. And that's my take. Please like this video, let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, join the Discord, join the subreddit, and donate to the Patreon for exclusive content, links in description. Thanks everybody for watching. Red Eagle, out.